City Council meeting of January 13th, 2025. If you would, please remember to silence your phones, and if you could also, if you have, we're going to have a couple of public speaking options for people tonight, and if you could please fill out a speaker's card before you come do that. That way we can get your name and spell it correctly. And we have cards out in the lobby. We also have cards up at the podium for the speakers. It just kind of helps us move things along. And let's see what else we have. We're going to begin this evening with as we traditionally do, moment of silence. So if you would please join me with a quick moment of silence. Thank you. Now, if you are able, would you please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a very special presentation tonight, and I am going to step to the podium and do that right now. Sir. Okay. How are you this evening?
Good. We did this one before, about 9 years ago.
Well, now you've made it to 30, so we're going to do it again. And this one we have, and you've got a few more achievements that we can run through. And so I'm going to read a resolution, and we're going to present an award certificate to our eminent Chief of Police in Maitland. And before we get going, I'd just like to say, Chief we have the best police force in Florida. There is no doubt about that. I think we can, it's not just an opinion, it really is a matter of fact. And it is because we have extraordinary officers who are out there every day keeping us safe, and it's the reason that we can all sleep well at night. But those officers didn't just show up and collect themselves. I think a lot of it has to do, much of it has to do with the extraordinary leadership of Chief Maitland on all of this. And we are extremely lucky to have him for all these years. He really is a part of life in Maitland, and everybody, perhaps not everybody, but many people in Maitland know him, and he's been involved intimately with all of our lives for a very, very long time. So it gives me great pleasure to read a short bio, and you all will be very impressed. I was impressed when I wrote it again. The City of Maitland is proud to recognize Police Chief David Manuel for 30 years of distinguished service to our community. Chief Manuel is an Army veteran who served in the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Liberty, North Carolina. He joined the police department in Maitland as a patrol officer in June of 1990. Over the years, he served many roles, including school resource officer, motorcycle unit officer, field training officer, and SWAT team member. He oversaw management of the SWAT team from 1998 to 2005. Among his academic achievements, he graduated from the 245th session of the FBI National Academy at Quantico, Virginia. David was awarded Officer of the Year in 1991, 92, and 94. I'm not really sure what happened in 93, but perhaps there was another stellar candidate out there. In 1990, he earned the Life-Saving Award following the dramatic rescue of a 2-year-old drowning victim. He was presented with the Valor Award in 1992 following a standoff with an armed gunman. David advanced through the ranks of the police department as a patrol officer, sergeant, lieutenant, commander, and deputy chief before retiring in 2014. He then returned, luckily 3 years later, as chief of police. Under his trusted leadership, the police department has consistently maintained the highest level of professionalism, training, and community service. The agency has been accredited by the Commission of Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation for the past 14 years. It also earned Excelsior reaccreditation, a top achievement for excellence and commitment to law enforcement. Last year, the police department earned top honors from the state of Florida's Law Enforcement Traffic Safety Challenge by increasing driver safety on local roadways. Efforts resulted in a 10% reduction in vehicular crashes from the previous 5 to 10 years. The City of Maitland extends our gratitude to Police Chief David Manuel for 3 decades of dedicated service and for his many contributions to uphold the safety and wellness of our community. And we have for Chief Manuel, for appreciation of your service, this beautiful plaque. And David Manuel, in appreciation for your loyal and distinguished service presented on December 11, 2024 by the City Administration on behalf of the City Council and the residents. So it's complicated, but you know, tonight is the night.
I'm not going anywhere.
All right.
You know, this Thursday will be my 9th anniversary since Sharon called me back to take the job. There's not a day go by that I don't think about her or miss her. But if I knew she was standing here next to me right now, she'd tell me how proud she is of Mark and the job he's doing and the shoes that he filled after her. She would also tell me how proud of you 5. You know, I've been sitting in that back corner for 20-something years, and I've sat through many council, many mayor, and you 5 are the best I've ever had a chance to work with. The way you work with each other, the things you do for the city, the things you do for the employee. It doesn't go unnoticed. To my troops, my staff, without them, I would be nothing. And mostly my family, my wife, my son, my daughter. I don't always bring home the best attitude, but I try. But thank you for everything you've done for me and my family and our organization that serves you.
So we have a few words. We get to work with Chief Manuel from the dais up here, from our lives in the city. Mark Brigantine and Sharon before Mark had the pleasure of working with David on a day-to-day basis, personally and up close and personal. And I would like to, if we could now turn our attention to Mark Brigantine, who might give a staff overview of what David's like. Thank you.
I was. Thanks for making it so easy, Dave. I usually don't get caught off guard, but as we all know, in almost any field, experience is critically important. This is especially important in public safety. Dave's experience has led him to a management style that is appreciated and respected within the department, by his fellow department heads, by me, and quite frankly, throughout the Central Florida community. Based on his experience and management style, he's been able to retain great employees to train the next generation as they move up into those leadership positions. Deputy Chief Palmer, Don D'Ambrosio are 2 fine examples of that. Following in their footsteps are Captains Plumley and Stitt, who are gaining experience to help the department move forward into the future. Many of our officers, a few of which are here tonight, have spent their entire careers here and are proud to say they're Maitland police officers and will retire Maitland police officers. We all know Maitland is a unique community that has its quirks, and our residents and businesses have high expectations of us, especially from the public safety front. Dave has those skills as he works with the entire force to make them understand what it takes to be a Maitland cop. And for that, we are indebted to you. Thank you for your last 30 years of service, and thank you for your continued leadership as we move into the future. It's not unnoticed nor unappreciated. Thank you for everything you do. With that, I think we could get a few pictures, if we have city council come down to get a few pictures with Dave, that'd be great.
Come on.
Oh, wait, can I take the clown likeness?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And thank you everybody for coming out tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, troops. Appreciate it. Thank you. No, Lorraine, we can't have more time to come out here. Shut up.
You don't have to leave, but we understand. You don't stay. That's where the magic happens.
I'm not going to feel safe now.
Okay, yes, back to the boring part. But what must be done, must be done. So let's go with the public hearing, a second reading of ordinance number 1438 regarding waterfront structure review standards. Lori, would you please read the ordinance title?
Ordinance number 1438, an ordinance of the City of Maitland, Florida, amending the Maitland Land Development Code, Article 2, Administration, Section 2.5.3 D4, Waterfront Structure Permit Review Standards, providing for conflicts, severability, and effectivity.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Dan, would you like to introduce the item?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I thought I was up here to roast Dave, but I guess not. So this ordinance, as we discussed at the last meeting, it just simply adds the text in section 5.37 that when you put in a waterfront structure, that you have to revegetate the shoreline so that no more than 50 feet or 50%, whichever is less, remains vegetated. With that being said, staff recommends that council adopt ordinance 1438, amending LDC Article 2, Section 253D4, Waterfront Structure Review Standards as presented. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dan. Does anybody have any questions of Dan? No? Okay, let's open it up to the public. This is a public comment period for this particular item. If anybody from the public has any interest in this item, would like to speak to the council up here, please, now's your time. Okay, seeing none, let's close the public comment period. And if there's no further discussion, a motion would be in order.
I move to adopt ordinance 1438, amending LDC Article 2, Section 2.5.3 D4, Waterfront Structure Review Standards as presented.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Councilmember Hall Harrison.
Aye.
Councilmember Wurzel. Aye. Councilmember Wild.
Aye.
Mayor Lowndes.
Aye. Okay, it passes. We now have another second reading, and that is for ordinance number 1439. Lori, would you please read the ordinance title?
Ordinance number 1439, an ordinance of the City of Maitland, Florida, amending Articles 5 and 10 of the Maitland Land Development Code, amending provisions and definitions related to shoreline protection standards and shoreline alteration, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Dan, are you up again?
Yes, sure. Again, in ordinance 1439, all this one does, as we talked about last time, it deletes the words impacted and cleared in that section so that it's not just the impacted areas that have to be revegetated, it's the whole, up to 50% or 50 feet. It also amends the definition of the seawall as we talked about last time. So staff recommends that council adopt ordinance 1439, amending the LDC Article 5, Section 537 shoreline protection standards, and Article 10, Section 1032 definitions as presented.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any questions, Dan? None from this. Does anybody from the public, so we have the public comment period, does anybody from the public have a comment on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, let's close the public comment period, and if there's no further discussion, the motion will be in order.
I move to adopt ordinance 1439, amending LDC Article 5, Section 5.3.7, shoreline protection standards, and Article 10, Section 10.3.2, definitions as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hall Harrison.
Aye.
Councilmember Wurzel. Aye. Councilmember Wild.
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Mayor Loudon.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Two passes. Okay, we're on to old business. Mr. Reagan, is there any old business?
Just one item of old business. I wanted to follow up on the discussion we had almost a month ago regarding the Live Local Act and the apartment complex that we believe does not meet the criteria there. The mayor did draft a letter as approved by City Council, send it to the property appraiser. At this time, we haven't heard anything back, not even acknowledgement of the letter or email that was sent. We have been told by other staff in the property appraiser's office that it has been forwarded to their legal department, but we have not heard anything from the property appraiser's office. With that, I was just looking if you had any additional direction you might want to provide to me on this issue.
Did you have the proper postage on that letter?
It's emailed and hand-delivered.
Okay. All right.
December 12th.
Kathy? You know, my suggestion would be, we're not giving the property appraiser's attention. Mark has written several emails and got nothing, there was no response from the mayor. Perhaps it's time to ask the city attorney to engage their legal counsel and see how this might be addressed. I mean, I guess, Cliff, your idea was perhaps the only thing you have as a deck action?
Yeah.
Is,
Because as it sits right now, I mean, I know you understand, I don't know if the rest of the council has been briefed on it, but the short version of it is that we got a CO showing that this project doesn't qualify. We sent it to them, and they said, yeah, well, they're going to get it anyway, with no explanation, period. And they've essentially gone radio quiet since that time. So, yeah, if they don't respond in an appropriate way, the assumption that most people would make is, well, they don't have an answer, which is not the way that's supposed to go. It's all started with Mark saying, if they make this decision, can we appeal it? Which seems simple enough. But when you provided them the irrefutable evidence and no contrary evidence is provided or documents or anything, that's where we are. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to figure out who represents them, let them know that court's coming.
does that sound like an approach for?
Yep.
Yep, I'm absolutely in favor of that.
Okay.
Says the four lawyers.
Yeah. That's what the lawyer
It was
is.
unanimous in my law firm.
Okay, great. Mark, is there anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, consent agenda. Does anybody wish to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? Okay. Does anybody from the public have comments on consent agenda items 2 through 10? There's still yet to be an open public period, so if you want to address the council on that, it's still coming. So this is just for items 2 through 10 on the consent agenda. Okay, seeing none on that, let's close the public comment and motion will be in order.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Laura, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wurzel. Aye. Councilmember Wild.
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Councilmember Hall Harrison.
Aye.
Mayor Loudon.
Aye. Okay. Consent agenda is approved. Okay, now we're on to the general public period, where anybody from the public can address us for, on any item that's not otherwise specified on the agenda. Does anybody have any? Yes, sir. If you please would come to the podium, and actually, we can take your speaker card up here. Okay. Awesome. Right. Thank you.
Good evening, council. My name is Stephen Reed, and I live at 500 Live Oak Street, Maitland. I've lived there since 2013. I love Maitland. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. And I just can't say enough good about it. One thing I have a bit of a problem is the parkway right across the street from my front door has, well, they've ceased maintenance on it. That's presumably the shops of Maitland who contracted maintenance people. It used to be kept park-like, but now it's overgrown. There are fallen trees on it, and it's an eyesore. And despite my best efforts to reach the owners of the shops of Maitland and talk about this, I'm not getting anywhere. So this has been like this since Hurricane Milton came through. And I'm just hoping you can do something about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the pictures and for the speaker card. We will give that. Mark, do you have any information?
No, yes, I think if you stop in and talk to Dan Mathis on your way out, he's the third from the end, next to the chiefs. He handles our code enforcement division. Give him the information. We can certainly get right on that.
Thank you.
Right, and if you feel like you'd like to give him the pictures instead of us,
Yes, just keep those.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we'll be able to get into it.
Great, awesome. All right, thank you for that. Anybody else from the public? I see one member of the public back there. Please, a frequent flyer, but she's not getting up. Okay. All right. Let's close the public period, and then we're on to decisions. First reading ordinance number 1440. Lori, would you please read the ordinance title?
Ordinance number 1440, an ordinance of the City of Maitland, Florida, repealing Chapter 18, Division 4, the Traffic Light Safety Act of the City Code, providing for codification, conflicts, and severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, Mark, would you like to introduce this item?
Sure, just real briefly. Back in 2010, this section of the code was adopted. The first cameras were installed at Maitland Avenue and Marion Way. The program eventually expanded and ultimately monitored 10 approaches at 6 intersections across the city. However, with the I-4 Ultimate project, several of the cameras were permanently removed. Now we have flyovers over there, so there weren't at grade intersections. Since 2017, the program has consisted of 4 cameras installed at 3 intersections, which monitor 4 approaches. The way we stand right now is the city's current vendor has been less than responsive over the last couple of years, and more so over the last couple of months regarding maintenance of the system. So based upon that, the city must procure the services of another vendor to reestablish this program. Under the current state statutes, there's a lot more hoops to jump through. You're establishing new red light camera programs. I've listed some of those in my staff report. I think more importantly, the philosophy behind the red light camera program is that when it was adopted was to reduce, obviously, the number of vehicles running red lights, to reduce accidents at intersections, primarily to reduce those T-bone intersections when someone with a green light proceeds into an intersection, someone ignores the red light in the opposite direction and causes a crash. So as we're approaching this, the command staff of the police department put together some statistics on the efficacy of a program like this, and that's attached as an attachment to the staff report here, which shows that there really hasn't been any reduction in vehicle accidents at those minor intersections. And in fact, there have been some increases in accidents. I think part of that is due to what, as we've been talking with DOT about our downtown study, that the main roads through the city have reached what they call a saturation point, where during the little more than 2 hours of rush hour every day, the roads are filled, so there's not anybody that's really getting enough speed to run red lights. They're just moving through intersections, and they're not causing as much problem as we've seen in the past. So the biggest problems we have now during the AM, PM rush are people blocking intersections because they want to get to that next section of road to get to the next light. So based upon that and what it would take to reestablish a program and find a new vendor, staff is recommending to adopt ordinance 1440 that would eliminate the red light program.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Anybody have any questions on this item? Does anybody from the public like to address us on this item? Okay. We'll close the public period on that and bring it back up to the council. Any discussion on this item or a motion?
I move to approve ordinance 1440 on first reading, repealing Chapter 18, Division 4 of the Maitland Code of Ordinances, Traffic Light Safety Act as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wild?
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie?
Aye.
Councilmember Paul Harrison?
Aye.
Councilmember Wurzel? Aye. Mayor Lo?
Aye. Another unanimous decision of the council. And we will see it again on the second reading. On to reports. Does anybody, let's start with the city attorney. Do you have any reports?
I have nothing.
Okay. Mr. City Manager.
Just a quick rundown of upcoming events. We have Movie in the Park, which will feature the classic Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at 6:30 p.m. this Saturday, the 18th, in Independence Square. One of the bigger events we have of the year, what turned into one of the bigger events we have of the year, Maitland Police and Fire Family Fun Day, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on February 1st, which is a Saturday, right here on Independence Lane. So that's one of our newer events and one of our most heavily attended events. We have the Get Down from 6 to 9, February 7th here on Independence Lane, and the Domrick 5K race, which affects some of us out in the neighborhood, is scheduled for March 1st. We're going through the permitting process, so I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's coming. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, and I'm going to try to defend my title for the old guys category in the Domrick 5K on March 1st.
You're getting no competition from this old man.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Yes. So there's a Maitland municipal election scheduled for March 11th, seats 1 and 3. The petition filing period ended Friday at noon. And concluding the official submittal period, there is one candidate that is eligible to qualify for seat 1, and we have 2 candidates that are eligible to qualify for seat 3. Qualified candidates next week, the 20th and 24th. So we will know after next week.
Okay. It will be exciting, although I gotta say it's kind of sad to think of us losing 2 esteemed members of this council who've done so much for it. And we're going to certainly be down to just a couple of attorneys now. All right. Council members, anybody have a report?
I don't, but I'd be really interested to get feedback from you on how it went with the legislative meeting the other day.
You didn't see him in the news?
I mean,
I didn't see
I wanted to hear from John's own words because I heard from others that he did very, very well. So.
No. I think it was well. I mean, so this is.
I know Mike wants to get out of here, so.
All right, I'll be brief. It was a The Orange County delegation, which is the delegation of all the state representatives and senators who represent a piece of Orange County, were there. They've come to hear from people in the county what they should take with them back to Tallahassee in the upcoming session. So with the approval of the council, I went down there on last Wednesday, I think. And there were several, they heard from several government types, Sheriff Mina, Tracy Jacobs for the school board, Tiffany Moore, the county clerk, several others, and Brian Nelson, the mayor of Apopka, and several members of the soil and water districts. About soil and water issues. But I made a pitch for home rule just to, so that our delegation would hear this from people who are affected by it, and just to say, please keep us in mind. The government that's closest to the people is most accountable to them and probably the best informed. So please let us keep the home rule, and when you see bills come across your desk, that would preempt any of our authority, please view them with a jaundiced eye. And then I made some remarks about TDT in the form of home rule as well. I mean, it should be that the Orange County leadership and people in Orange County have a say in how to spend the TDT funds, rather than just it being kind of wrapped up in the convention center and in the Citrus Bowl. And I think that was well received by some anyway. Askamani and Carlos Gutierrez are going to introduce a bill, and so that's exciting. And I'm not sure and I talked to one of the commissioners as well, one of the county commissioners, Maya Uribe, who's very excited about that as well. So with incoming District 5, who represents us, District 5, Kelly Semrad, will be our new Orange County commissioner. And she's very interested in expanding and diversifying the uses of the TDT funds. I think that there's kind of growing impetus for diversifying that. And so it went pretty well, I believe, but it's a long and uphill battle. But it has to happen in Tallahassee. If it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in Tallahassee. So I kind of want to at least warm them up to that. It's not just an Orange County Chambers issue. It's something that we all.
Thank you for representing us.
Sure, absolutely. Anybody else?
Oh, real quick, Druid Hills will be having its picnic, so that's Druid Isle, Lake Hope Circle, Lake Bay Circle, not Lake Hope, Lake Charity Circle, this Saturday, so it'll be great. But I will be out at the Scottish Highland Games this weekend, so everybody come out to the Scottish Highland Games. It's a great time.
Is it Central Winds? Or where is that?
Central Winds, yep. Saturday and Sunday. Looks like Sunday's going to be rain, so come Saturday. That's it for me.
It'll be very Scottish weather.
Very.
Okay. Anybody else? Nothing? Okay. Without further ado, we are adjourned.
Thank you. No, you're good. We're the, I appreciate it.